Finally, we're gonna answer the question you've all been asking. Why does Decoded hate white people?
Yes, she's finally gonna admit it that she hates white people.
Well, we don't.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you do exploit us for views and shit, so yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. Ah, fuck, I want my MTV back.
Shut the fuck up for the 50th billionth time! You're fucking a white male!
This is the Booze and Bullshit Show. Shit happens, and we make fun of it.
Thanks, Mario, I guess.
And as you can see, Franchesca Ramsey is back, and she is here to tell us why she does not hate white people. She just thinks that life is magically easy for anyone who has light skin. And this is a special request video from I don't know how to pronounce African names, I'm sorry. Oh, wait, that's not an African name, I'm sorry. I couldn't tell. Fuck's sake. Alright, I'm joking. I just like to fucking tease these fucking idiots. Anyways, let's get into the video and let's hear what Franchesca has to say.
There's overwhelming evidence that implicit racial bias is real, and institutional racism is still rampant in America and abroad today.
Well, it's certainly alive in the broad in front of me right now, cause shit, like, you're always talking about how we have these implicit biases against black people, but honestly, I think that all the videos that I see all over the internet, all over the news and all this shit, it's always implicit bias against, well, you have your privilege. You're white and you have no problems. Yeah, that's not the case. I'm sorry. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people came out and said how wrong you are.
Whoa, okay, talking about oppression doesn't mean I hate white people.
That's true, but if you say that the cause of the problem is white people, then yeah, people are kind of gonna assume that you hate white people. Or at the very least resent them for their privileges that you perceive they have. That's just the way things are. But you know what? Let me look at these comments, because I don't think these are fucking real comments. I mean, look at this. At Racist Meanie 365, at The Salty, The Fragilicious, Franchesca Hate, and another one from The Salty. Really? You couldn't come up with another name for this other one? Holy shit. All right. Well, let's look at the comments then. Franchesca's a big old meanie. Why does she hate white people? White and proud. I don't even care if you hate me. Stop hating on white people. We have it bad enough as it is. I'm not racist. You're racist, Franchesca. You're an anti-white racist. Stop oppressing white people. Well, yeah, that one actually kind of makes a little bit of sense. But really, if this is like the world that she perceives the comments being, this is absurd. It's either dishonest or she's just fucking delusional. I mean, yes, there are trolls, and that's a whole nother topic, but basically the short thing about trolls is, if you are always being upset on the internet, people like to tease you. So, they do things that they know is gonna bother you. That is what a troll does. But there are a lot of people who actually want to discuss the ideas with you. So, you've got to acknowledge that, hey, trolls are just assholes, and block them, do whatever you want to do with them, because they just want to fuck with you. Not like sexually fuck with you, but you know what I mean. They want to mess with your head.
The problem is it's hard to get mad at systems and institutions instead of taking these conversations personally.
Yeah, because there's no one mad at the government. They're all just mad at people like you on the internet who makes all these videos saying how horrible we are. Yeah. Sarcasm is lost in the stupid.
When I criticize the school-to-prison pipeline, lack of police training, workplace discrimination, or our court system, some people don't want to hear it or think about it.
Whoa, slow down with the stupid there. All right, let's do one at a time. School-to-prison pipeline. Okay, so you break rules and do lots of things that get you in trouble and send you to juvenile detention. Yeah, that's kind of going to follow you when you do a crime and you're in front of a judge and they're like, well, you've been to juvie 6 times, but still in this candy bar. You know what? I think that's a one-time thing. Lack of police training. Yeah, there's a lot of cops that are pretty damn stupid and trigger happy, but you know what? I'm still afraid being a white person being around them. Workplace discrimination. If you're a minority, do you really want to be hired by someone who is racist and doesn't like you? Would you want the government to force them to hire you if they don't like you? But you know, I think it's pretty damn stupid to hire someone based on their race anyways. Well, you know what? We got 3 black people. Yeah, this other guy, we should go with an Asian this time. Yeah, because we need someone who's good at math. I think that's even more fucking racist. How about whoever applies and actually has the good qualifications gets hired? Oh, wow, it's a crazy idea. Which is why all these stupid affirmative action laws are ridiculous. Yes, they come from a good place, but they don't do what they're supposed to do. Fuck. And our court system. Yeah, you're going to say that, oh, well, minorities get all this horrible treatment because they're just black or Hispanic and the judges hate them. All right, well, let's look at the incarceration rate. Oh, it's mostly men, too. So I guess you could say that they're sexist as well. These men, judges, are sexist against men. The point is, there are cases on each side of these issues that you can point out and say, well, you know what you're saying doesn't make sense because look at these facts over here. You just pick and choose the facts that you want to talk about and the facts that support your narrative, which is why I always like to point out the contradictory facts to what all these social justice warriors point out. It's not because I think that they're better arguments. It's just that, well, what you're saying is this and it doesn't fit with that. So explain that. You can't because you're so fucking caught up in your own narrative that you think that that's the only truth and everything else is just lies or just white noise.
Let's use preschool, for example.
Preschool, huh? Yeah, that sounds about your level of intelligence.
In a study done by the Department of Education, black children make up 18% of the preschool population, but represent almost half of all out-of-school suspensions.
Now, Billy, I know that you only just didn't do your homework one day, but we've already suspended 2 black students for having a fist fight. So we need to get our quota up.
Like, seriously? Is this what you people are actually thinking? Like, you want them to have an actual quota for the number of people that they suspend? If the person does the crime, then they do the time. That's a simple fucking saying that's pretty damn common, but it should make sense to everybody.
Basically, while a misbehaving white toddler might get time out, a black toddler is more likely to get sent home and have disciplinary action on their record.
I mean, there's all different ways you could misbehave. You could just not want to play with other kids, or you can, I don't know, bring a knife into school and want to kill someone. I don't know. There's lots of different misbehavior things that you can do with different degrees.
What does that say to you?
It says to me that it seems like the black kids are the ones misbehaving in worse ways than the white kids. In general, of course.
For journalists who investigate these kinds of stats.
Wait, are there actually journalists these days? Because from everything I've seen in the news, it certainly is not journalism. It's pushing your agenda, getting ratings, getting money. Because that's all it fucking is these days. It's not even like, well, the people must know the truth. No, it's, hey, let's get some fucking ratings. But okay, you're going to say what the journalist said. Who you didn't cite, but okay, let's see what you have to say.
They reached the conclusion that these suspensions are tied to teacher bias. In other words, teachers are more likely to see black children as threats to their classroom rather than just kids being kids.
Where are they getting these fucking journalists from? BuzzFeed? Anyways, look, I'm sure that yes, there are probably some white people who are racist against black people, and yes, they are teachers. But what about the black teacher being racist against a white student because he's white and he's in a mostly black school? Now, maybe I just went to a progressive school or some shit like that, but when I was a kid, I had a teacher come up to me and ask me a question about another student that I didn't know their name. So I asked them to describe them to me, and they referred to a black kid as the very tan boy. He's very tan. I didn't know who the fuck they're talking about. And then I said, oh, the black kid. And the person's eyes lit up like, you can't say that. I didn't make up the name for the color. Or how about when I was in 6th grade and I had a black kid always picking on me for months and months and months every fucking day in the lunchroom. I went to the fucking principal, I went to everyone, and no one did do a damn thing about it. It wasn't until I called the kid a nigger that something actually got done. But you would think that he would be in trouble for punching me. No, I was in trouble. Yeah, I was in trouble, but I was in trouble for calling him a dirty word, not because they were punching me and throwing me over the place. And no, that's not why they were fucking mad. No, it was because I used a naughty word. So I know these are anecdotal evidences, but you know, they're my experiences and I like to kind of draw from them. But you know what? These are things that happen. And I know I'm not the only one that it's happened to. You know, you social justice warriors always talk about listening to other people's experiences, but my experiences, they don't care because I'm not a part of a protected minority. Fuck, that got deep. All right. What was she talking about again?
And always remember, all toddlers are monsters.
Wow, actually something I finally agree with that you said. They are fucking monsters.
This is a huge problem. Does it mean that all of these preschool teachers are racist? Not explicitly so, but they have bias, just like all of us.
Miss Franchesca, your bias is showing. Look, I don't think it's any secret that you had a bias, but at least you're willing to admit it, you know? Because you certainly have a bias against white people, and that's why people say you hate white people. But you just have these opinions about us that simply aren't true, like how you think a lot of white people have against black people.
And fixing this is even more complicated, including allocating tons of money towards teacher training, childcare resources, and a million other things.
Of course. Let's just spend more money on sensitivity training for teachers. Yeah, that's not a waste of taxpayer money, now is it? Now, I did work in an office at one point, and they had every single person go to this seminar for sexual harassment. And basically what I summarized is that anything you can possibly say can possibly be construed as sexist or harassing. Yeah, that's pretty much what they said. Anything you say can be misconstrued as offensive. So, yeah, it was a waste of company money, and it's a waste of taxpayer money to do it for schools.
So let's check in with your feelings. Are you A, mad at the Department of Education for not training teachers better? B, mad at your state congressional representatives for not pushing for bigger education budgets? Or C, mad at me for talking about this because it's easier to direct your anger towards someone making you feel guilty instead of being angry at the complicated as world of institutional racism?
I'm to go with B. No, not your B, but B for bullshit, because that's really what you're saying here.
If you chose C, please resist the urge to close your browser and instead keep listening. You might have noticed, nowhere in there did I say white people are the problem.
Francesca, we know that you're a lot more subtle than that. You're not gonna just say, white people suck. But you kinda are saying that in the way that you talk about us. So yeah.
That's because these issues are bigger than individuals. It's going to take all of us to advocate for change.
So wait, if you're saying that all of us need to fix this, does that mean that you think that black people think that too? And they think bad things? Or do they just think bad things about other black people? And it's because, much like how women have internalized misogyny, that black people have internalized racism against themselves? Or am I just digging way too deep into your subconscious that you don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about, but it's quite obvious to the people who actually watch you?
So, the next time you have the urge to say, Franchesca hates white people.
Okay, well, my opinion is a lot more nuanced than that, but sure. What should I do?
Please autocorrect to, Franchesca hates the historical roots of oppression that have led to today's societal conditions which allow institutions with white leadership to systemically discriminate against people of color.
Oh, so it's not white people that's the problem, it's just the way white people think. Yeah, awesome. So, like I've said many times, I've shared that this could be applicable in the past, but today, I don't see that. I don't see these effects. I see an overcorrection of what used to be, and you're still acting as if it's still true, but it isn't.
Easy peasy. It's clear that people who get mad about discussions of racism aren't actually listening to the criticisms. They aren't hearing the facts and stats. They aren't even directly disagreeing with research. Instead, they're disagreeing with the sentiment, things are bad for people of color and we need change.
Oh, she just has this all figured out now, doesn't she?
Shame! 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 Shame!
What's your main arguments? Because you're allowed to go on the mic.
No, I don't want to.
Why not?
White noise for white noise. That's how it works.
But they're actually saying things. You're literally white noise.
What?
They're actually making arguments. You're literally just making white noise.
Oh, yeah, white noise for white noise. Yeah, I've seen it there, yeah. Oh, and I'm sure you're gonna say, yeah, but like they're not with like Black Lives Matter or anything like that. Who's this? The head of Black Lives Matter Toronto. Yeah, throwing glitter on someone. Yeah. So you wonder why no one respects the movements that you attach yourself to? These are the people that you're associating with. Why is it that social justice warriors are always the ones yelling at speeches and not letting other people speak? I mean, just take a look at Trigglypuff. Yeah, perfect example. I mean, you also have Big Red.
Shut the fuck up for the 50th billionth time!
You have the women putting period blood on their face. I mean, how many more social justice warriors do you want me to name? Because there's tons of them. It's always the social justice warriors who are trying to censor. Like, you have free reign to say whatever the fuck you want. But it's people who disagree with you that are getting fired from their jobs. So I really do not see where you're coming from here, except a world of delusion.
Why? Well, Dr. Robin DiAngelo, a white critical racial and social justice scholar, has described the discomfort some white people have towards talking about racism as white fragility. Since white people often grow up in environments where discussing race is seen as taboo, some react defensively when the topic of racism comes up. Dr. DiAngelo says this manifests itself as outward displays of emotions, such as anger, fear, and guilt, and behaviors such as argumentation, silence, and leaving the stress-inducing situation. I'd also add aggressively clogging someone's @replies on Twitter to that list, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, that is one theory. Or maybe the people that they've encountered in the past haven't been the most, shall we say, articulate? And despite what you, Franchesca, may feel, there are a lot of black people who just hate white people, and they resent them. And those are the people that they've dealt with. So maybe it's more of, oh, well, last time I ended up getting yelled at for disagreeing with them. Maybe I'm uncomfortable talking to them. Yeah.
It's also hard to think about these issues on an institutional level, and because talking about racism automatically makes a lot of white people uncomfortable, they sometimes begin to think they're being personally attacked or blamed.
Well, you know, it is kind of condescending when someone is just like,
well, like, all your thoughts come from your privilege, and, like, because you're white, so you're privileged. But, like, it's not your fault, because, like, you're just a part of, like, society and this white supremacist, like, systemic system that, like, hates us. But, like, you make decisions without realizing that, like, you do hate us. But, you know, you just have to check your privilege and, realize that you don't have the choice to make these decisions. Yeah.
that's condescending. Yeah, it is, and people get kind of mad at that.
Recent studies show that white Americans believe bias against white people is a bigger issue in our country than ever before. This, however, is simply not true. Statistically, from mortgage lending to police brutality, the reality for white Americans tends to be way more positive than for black Americans and other people of color. So don't be mad at me, be mad at the stats.
Oh, you want to look at stats, huh? All right, well, how about the fact that black people are statistically more likely to murder each other than white people? Like, significantly more? But, oh, of course, you only look at stats when they're in your favor, yeah.
A classic example is the bias associated with drug use. White people use drugs at similar rates as black people, but black people are much more likely to go to jail for drug usage because of the way we structure our policing practices.
You're not factoring in the fact that black people tend to live in higher crime areas and therefore has a higher police presence, are you? Because I think that would kind of factor in.
There's even bias in the political language we use to describe the issue. In the 80s, when crack became a huge problem, we had the war on drugs. But now with the prescription meds epidemic, which is largely affecting white communities, we're actually calling it what it is, an opioid epidemic.
I'm sorry, I'm failing to see the connection here. If they called it the war on niggers, then yeah, I'd say you have a point, but the war on drugs, it's just a stupid name they came up with.
But when these issues are brought up, too often people accuse us of bias against white people. By refusing to engage with the actual issues, the people who shout the absurd accusation, "You're racist against white people," are really just attempting to shut down the conversation.
Oh, and this doesn't shut down the conversation, huh?
Why aren't you saying anything? There's nothing for me to say. It would be inappropriate for me to dominate this particular conversation. Good job, Megan!
Isn't this you saying that white people shouldn't talk in a conversation because they're not black? Are you fucking kidding me?
Imagine if we were able to talk about these issues without a mob of angry replies. Or what if people were angry at oppression instead of the people talking about oppression?
You clearly have not seen any of the videos that I've seen, because even the ones I cited in this video here, yeah, it's not us who are telling you you can't talk.
Or if the discussions were about what policies were needed and what our political leaders could do to help kids stay in school and prevent citizens from being murdered by the police.
Yeah, I'd be happy to discuss those issues, but unfortunately there's so many people clouding up the conversation by just putting in white noise. Literally, white fucking noise.
Imagine if people who think I'm racist against white people found something they enjoyed online instead of watching Decoded every week and complaining in the comments.
People complain because you're spreading this message of bullshit that just isn't true. So, yeah, people feel an obligation to tell you, hey, you're wrong.
And look, no matter who you are, these conversations can be difficult. Acknowledging your privilege is difficult, and accepting that the world isn't fair to everyone sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty fucking privileged to be able to say racist things against white people in public on all these huge media outlets. Yeah, I think that's kind of privileged.
But the most important things are often the hardest ones to do. Thanks so much for watching. We don't hate anybody. We'll see you next time right here on Decoded.
Ah, fuck, it's finally over. Why did you request this? Why did you request this? Anyways, once again, this is the Booze and Bullshit Show. Check out my previous playlist, White Person Responds To, where you can see me make fun of a lot more people, just like Franchesca Ramsey. Also, I have tons of other videos commenting on feminism. Also, you can subscribe for more content if you like this. Don't forget to leave a comment, follow me on social media, and if you're proud of your package, buy my t-shirt.